mean, I think Zionism focuses on the, Israeli problem, which absolutely is an issue, but it doesn't really touch on the fact that the Jewish religion doesn't respect Christians. They look at them like idol worshipers. It doesn't talk about the things that happened before the inception of Israel. It doesn't talk about all the things that is happening in America because of Jewish supremacy, the attack on whiteness, the attack on masculinity, the promotion of homosexuality, the promotion of transgenderism, all these things that are happening. So I think it's, kind of like narrows the scope a little bit. And then it also kind of scapegoats the real root cause of the problem, which is Jewish supremacy, because now you add in all these retard Christian Zionists that, I don't know. I don't get mad at retards. I just get mad at the people that are kind of like pushing them in the wrong direction. And the way I look at Christian Zionists is they just have bad information, bad programming. Their pastors telling them the wrong thing, whatever. And I think when you broaden it to Zionism, now you have a lot bigger problem to deal with because you're including these Christian evangelicals, which aren't the root cause of the problem. They are an offshoot of the problem of Jewish supremacy because, Judaism has poisoned the Christian religion. And this idea of Judeo Christian values, which is an oxymoron, has been pushed on us as well. And so I think when you kind of like drill down and you look at what Chabad Lubavitch says, what many of these head rabbis in Israel say, you start to understand really that this is not just an Israel problem. This is a problem with Judaism. And if you look at all the things that are said in the Talmud, these are said, long before Israel's inception. So I look at, the result of Jewish supremacy, which the Bolshevik genocide, that was a direct result of Jewish supremacy, the whole communist religion, which is anti-Christianity, that was invented by a Jew as well. So I don't want to narrow the scope and only look at Israel when I talk about the real problem that we face today, which is Jewish supremacy, and it's not just Zionism. And it allows people to justify and rationalize, treating others like shit. It's tribal. I mean, my message is more of unification. I think that we need to come together. I think that we need to stop with this left right shit, this Christian against Muslim. And I think we need to really focus on the real problem, which is Jewish supremacy. And that is what is attacking me today. That's what's attacking me as a masculine man. That's what's attacking, Christians. That's what's attacking, basically moral fiber in America. And so, yeah, I mean, Israel is obviously a big problem. That was actually what kind of like opened my eyes to this whole thing. But when you dig deeper, you realize that it is Jewish supremacy that is the crux of the issue. And I think that's something that the left is scared to say, which is strange because they are against any other kind of supremacy. But for some reason, they're just scared to say that. And I think a part of that is the program that we've gotten, which is that Jews are in this victim class. And it's just not true. They're the most overprivileged. I mean, everything they told you about white privilege is true of Jewish privilege. Everything they told you about white supremacy is true of Jewish supremacy. So I package it that way because I feel like it's easier for liberals to understand. And when they really look at it with an unbiased lens, they will see that it fits every single thing that they were told about a supremacist mindset. And you see that. I mean, they're operating apartheid. They're treating Muslims like dogs, and I can't think of a more supremacist ideology than what is happening in Israel. But like I said, I don't think that it just stops there. I mean, I think we can unite on not wanting our tax dollars to be spent to kill children and innocent civilians instead of helping Americans. I think that's something that we can all agree on and unite on. I think that we can all agree that we don't want our tax dollars being sent to foreign nations before we have health care and before Americans are taken care of. I think that's something we can unite on. And I don't think that we want to be spending $500 million a day on a stupid fucking war so that gas prices can be higher. And I don't think that we want to be spending millions of dollars on Tomahawk missiles to, kill children in children's schools. So I think there's a lot of unifying issues here. I think there's a lot of things that Americans can come together, left or right, and agree on. And the root cause of all these issues is the same place. So, I like I said, I think this is a unifying issue. I see myself coming together with people that I disagree with on other things. And I think one of the important things when you're looking at somebody is to look at their intentions and their beliefs. Are they doing something because they believe it is the right thing. Um, and I think that's one of the things that I saw with a bunch of, the liberals, the leftists, or whatever. As much as the Republicans want to demonize them and blame them for everything, I did see them, speaking out about the Israeli genocide, and a lot to their own detriment. And it seemed like they were able to, stand up and risk a lot more so than the Republicans. So I did have respect for them because of that. And I think a lot of the talking points that they got is from the Jewish media. So I think they have a little bit of bad programming. But at the end of the day, I think humanity, we can agree on the things that I said about not wanting to spend our tax dollars to kill children, not wanting to, fund foreign wars, and actually putting America first for once, and holding the biggest thing that I want to do when I get into government is hold politicians accountable. Like if they tell us something and it's a complete fucking lie, then there should be accountability for that. If they promise you something before they get into office and they don't hold up that promise, that should be fraud. Getting into office under false pretenses, in my opinion, is the purest definition of fraud. So if you tell people a bunch of things that they want to hear so that you get elected and then you rug pull them, there should be accountability for that. And there really isn't. I mean, you see that with Trump. He's just lying to us on a daily basis, and there's no accountability, and nothing happens. And I think that needs to change.
So to shut everyone up that says you hate Jews, can you clarify that you do not hate Jews, and what's some clarity in that?
It's kind of like if you were to say, Chinese are short. You don't have to qualify that with, but not all Chinese are short. And if you were to say that, Russia's a threat to us, you don't have to qualify that with, not all Russians are a threat to us. It's like it's weird. They can criticize Muslims and say Muslims are a problem or Islam is, a problem, whatever, but they never have to clarify that with, but not all Muslims. But for some reason, when you criticize Jews, you have to clarify that with, but not all Jews, right? Like, obviously, it's not every Jew. I'm not saying that every Jew is bad. I'm not saying that every Jew is together on some, big worldwide conspiracy where they're all integrated or operating as a monolith. But that doesn't change the fact that Jews are causing problems. And I think there's been serious repercussions when people start talking about that. And you have to question why. You have to question why you've been so programmed that you feel the need to constantly qualify the statement with, but not all Jews, but not all Jews. It's like, yes, obviously, it's not every Jew is bad. I have Jewish friends still, believe it or not. And there are Jews that are, very against the war, and there have been Jews that are, speaking out and sacrificing, themselves. So, it's one of those things where I think you have to really hone in on, why do we have to feel the need to qualify these statements with not all Jews, but you don't have to qualify any other statement about any other group of people like you do with Jews.
I got two more questions for you. So, Randy Fine, why are you running against Randy Fine?
Well, I mean, he is kind of like the polar opposite of me. I mean, he is super pro Israel. He wants to send all of our tax dollars there. He clearly puts a foreign nation before America. He's a Jewish supremacist. He dehumanizes other groups of people, Muslims included. Now you can add Armenians to the list as well. Um, and I just think that he is the exact opposite of what we should have representing our country. I don't believe he's representing America in any way, shape, or form. I think he's, Israel first, Jew second, and America last, or, maybe Jew first, Israel second, but America definitely comes last. And look, I don't want to be in government, but I feel like if I'm going to do this, I might as well, unseat the most vile member that we currently have. Kind of like a two for one. So that, and also I grew up in Florida, and I went to University of Florida, and and they also had a later primary, so it kind of naturally aligned.
What other issues are you wanting to rather solve and run for, other than just beating Randy?
Well, like I talked about before, accountability with politicians. I think that there should be serious repercussions if a politician knowingly lies to American citizens. Like, I think there should be serious repercussions when Trump has been lying to us. I think he has an obligation to tell us the truth. I think he should be acting as a servant of the citizens instead of using the office to enrich himself. And I think that's the biggest problem we have with politicians today is that everybody gets into office and, it's me, 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 me. What can I get for me? What can I do for my donors? And it's not what can I do for America? How can I make this country better? And so that needs to change first and foremost.
Full of people in this room, and they are all wanting to make America first. Is there anything you want to say to them as this is the last question?
Well, look, I just finished a paintball tournament. I really have a speech prepared. Look, I think that that's exactly what we all should be doing is putting America first. I mean, that's what Trump sold us on. I mean, I wasn't sold on it. I knew he was going to fucking sell us out. And sure enough, he did. And I said that before the 2024 elections. Um, Not that Kamala Harris was any better, but that's kind of the problem, right? Is we're always faced with one shitty candidate or another. And I can't remember the last time there was actually an America First candidate that was going to put our country, I mean, at a minimum before foreign nations, right? Like we can't even get America before Israel. I mean, we've got our citizens, we don't have health care. We're shipping, hundreds of billions of dollars to these foreign countries, to no benefit of our own. In fact, now gas is almost twice the price. The US dollar is at 25, percent less than what the purchasing power was 4 years ago. I mean, I look at where we're going. Our debt is skyrocketing. And to me, it seems like the plane is going to crash into the mountain if somebody doesn't, take over the controls. And every single person that seems to get into office just wants to look out for themselves. And so I think that is the opposite of America first. It seems to be politician first and, Israel first and America last. And I think that's what we need to change.
Where can they go to donate to your campaign?
Bilzerianforcongress.com.
So, well, Dan, thank you so much for your time today. And yes, and get some rest. I know you're tired from your ultimate paintball game today.
No doubt. No doubt. Well, yeah, yeah, I wish I had a little bit more of a speech prepared, but I'm glad that all you guys are meeting together. That's kind of what we need. We need people to come together and take our fucking country back. I mean, that's where we're at. And I think if we don't do it in the next 2 years, I think we're cooked. So this is a bit of a sprint, and I think we need to start operating with a sense of urgency. And people, to me, this is all talked out. Like we've talked about this for years. Now everybody knows what's going on. Now people need to start stepping up and running for office and doing something about it. Because, like I said, if we don't take our country back in the next 2 years, I think we're done for.
Awesome. Thank you, Dan. We appreciate what you did, and we'll talk to you later. Awesome. Well, Dan Bilzerian, guys.